Mr. Paulson voiced some other concerns about China today. What were they?
Well, I think, Mark, Hank Paulson's primary concern is more or less what you heard right there, which is that the country stands in danger of being overwhelmed by the pace of its own growth. Look, when it comes to policymakers, few in Washington, few in the country have had closer relationships with Chinese officials over the year than Hank Paulson. So even though he's out of government, the strength of China's economy, the pace of the growth, the concerns that he has are things that resonate, particularly in Washington.
Phil, Paulson has long advocated for the United States to do everything in its power to maintain a strong relationship with China. What was his message today?
You know, he had an interesting perspective. Speaking to the audience today, he actually took some questions, and somebody asked him about North Korea and the escalation and tensions that we've seen over the last couple weeks there. He actually used that as a way to magnify the importance of the relationship with China. His point basically is this: very few things in the world get worse if China and the U.S. strengthen their relationship. Obviously, China's role in the region, its role with what's going on in North Korea right now is very important. And Paulson pointed to North Korea and said, look, this is an instance right here where if the U.S. has stronger ties with China, things will obviously be for the better, not for the worse.
Phil, few days go by where cybersecurity and its relationship to China isn't mentioned by lawmakers here in the U.S. What were Mr. Paulson's views on how to combat the cyber attacks on U.S. soil?
Look, Mark, as you said, very few days go by where Capitol Hill lawmakers, U.S. officials aren't basically throwing out press release after press release accusing the Chinese government of sanctioning cyber attacks. Obviously, the Chinese government denies this, but Hank Paulson's perspective was this: this is a dialogue that needs to occur internationally. There needs to be protocols put into place, some type of international framework put into place. He also had an interesting perspective. He said, look, broadly, China does not benefit if there's an economic shock, if there's threats to the economy, to the global economy. So when it comes to cybersecurity, this is something that matters to both countries, whether we think it does or not.